We have a 5,000 frontline sales force now. You can't do everything physically. You can't train them physically. How do you recruit better? How do you train better? Just like I said, hyper personalization for customer. Why should there not be a hyper personalized intervention model for your employees? That what really does this employee need to be successful? Because you have data on sales, technology tools, etc.
Hi, I'm Yamini Bhat. Welcome to the FinAI podcast. FinAI is our brand new podcast series that explores the intersection of GenAI and financial services. In this series, you'll meet a set of guests who are CXOs of market leading financial institutions around the world. They'll be talking about their experiments with AI and what's worked and what's not worked. In addition to that, here is the fun part. They will be sharing with you AI wishlist tools that they're willing to put their money behind. Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Mayank Bathwal, the CEO of Aditya Birla Health Insurance. Mayank, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
My pleasure, Yamini. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Mayank, we would love to hear a little bit about your background, especially with the Aditya Birla Group and how you came to set up ABHI.
Yeah, thanks, Yamini. So I've been a career ABGI. I started my career with the group way back in 1994 and worked through multiple businesses, mainly on the strategy side in the first 6-7 years, and then got an opportunity to work in be part of the team which set up the life insurance business way back in 99. Spent about 15 years with them, starting with setting up their finance function to finally ending my stint there as their deputy CEO in 2015. And then, lucky me and fortunately for me, I got another opportunity to set up a business grounds up, and that's when the group decided to set up a joint venture in health insurance, and technically got an opportunity to set up what would be like, in terms of health insurance provider, India's 50th health insurance provider, kind of, but health insurance company with a difference. And since then it's been a very interesting journey setting up the health insurance business, which is what I call India's first data driven, digitally powered, but more importantly, health first insurance company in this space. And we can talk about that a little bit later if time permits. And it's been very enjoyable setting up a business which is scaled now. Because, as you and your listeners will agree that, setting up something is a lot of fun. Startup is the fun thing right now, and even in a corporate environment, startup is a fun thing, and which me and my team have enjoyed thoroughly.
I can imagine starting up once is amazing, starting up twice is like so phenomenal. Mayank, when you started sometime this is 2015 time frame, right? There was a lot happening both on the consumer side in terms of behavior, shifting towards mobile, social. Uh, this was a digital audience now as consumers, right? And also on the technology side in terms of what enterprises had access to, like cloud was becoming very normal. Customer-centered journeys were becoming very normal. How did this shape being the 50th entrant into this segment, but knowing that you have the advantage of not carrying the baggage of old architecture or old consumer beliefs, right? How did this shape the decisions on how around how AVHI got designed and built?
Yeah, that's a important question, Yamini, because when you are one of the providers in a crowded space, but yet what I would call a very highly underpenetrated space. So on the one hand, it can be a challenge, but because of the second part, which is underpenetrated, it can be I would say, advantage to kind of learn from what everyone has kind of done over the many years and create your own space. So before I answer specifically on the question that you mentioned, let me just carry forward the context of what I said just earlier. So when we came in, health insurance was what I call more a sickness funding game, right? Which, what does it mean? It means that Traditionally, health insurance in India has been inpatient expenses indemnity business, which means the customer falls sick, gets into the hospital, and the insurance company pays for it. And the kind of relationship that develops in this category or in this business model is very, very transactional and reactive. No customer wants to fall sick to get the benefit out of the product, right? And in that too, in a category where the relationship with the consumer is as long tenured as it can be. It's the end of life till end of life. So therefore it's for the insurance sector then to decide what kind of a relationship they want to build with the consumer, to really make it meaningful. And we felt that instead of playing a reactive sickness funding game, why should we not play a proactive health partnership game with the consumers? Because there's complete business alignment, and interest alignment. So if my consumer is healthy, as a business we are healthy, because consumer will claim less, we will be therefore having a better economic outcome. Now the question is, how do you make it work? You have to make it work because there has to be reason to believe for the consumers. You can't just go and say, hey, I'm your health partner and therefore treat me like that. So therefore that meant that unlike a regular health insurance business, we had to create a whole ecosystem of health and wellness access, which is much bigger than what typically a hospital network in a traditional health insurance company will be. Second, if you have to engage with consumers at scale, physical is not the way to do that because it's too expensive and it's just logistically not possible. So you have to build a digital platform. So therefore, and in health, there are some elements which are phygital. Therefore, your digital investment, digital capabilities will have to be significantly more and relevant to the consumer of today than what again an existing incumbent will have to do. And thirdly, that when you're engaging with consumers at this scale, the kind of data that you will create will be significantly more, and therefore you must have capabilities to first kind of manage that data and then convert that data into insights that can help you kind of play a meaningful role as a health partner to the consumers, because health is a very personal subject. What health is to Yamini is not health to Mayank. Both have very, and similarly all other customers. So therefore, how do you make it hyper personalized? And therefore all of this needs technology, digital capabilities, data management capability, etc., etc. The good thing is that over a period of time, technology now enables, there are enough and more capable. For example, you can manage all of these at scale using cloud technology. Like we have a very strong, we were very clear from day one that we will have a strong cloud technology, strategy that we put in place. Of course, it's a combination of cloud and on-prem, but all cloud native kind of applications leverage cloud strategy, etc. And that creates this agility to kind of deal with scale at the right cost. At the same time, consumers are consistently evolving in terms of their approach to technology, digital, etc. Have very different expectations from the category, right? So you have
It's the same expectation.
similar
Yeah.
experiences, same expectations. So then,
Yeah.
are you ready for that? For your services and offerings. So all of that had to be thought through, and investment made and capabilities created to kind of deal with this. And it's a journey. I think we have come a long way in that journey to kind of make that happen. But when you're doing this, it can't be just for consumers. It's also for employees. That how are employees being made ready to deal with this, and especially in a large distribution driven sales driven of business like ours. So all of that has to be thought through, and you have to make your make sure that your people are understanding what's happening in the world of technology and data and digital. Make sure that they're equipped to deal with the changing environment and the pace at which things are moving, right? One fine day GenAI comes up. Are you ready for that? Now people are talking of agentic AI. So how do you make sure that people understand all these shifts that are happening, and which is happening at a pace that was never imagined. So it's both hard capabilities where you can invest, but at the same time being clear on building the softer side of the capabilities in people, so that they are ready and willing to shift and change their mindset to adopt to what's happening in the external environment.
Absolutely, Mayank. I think one of the factors you said about, I think both are super, super critical because I think today at the pace at which technology is becoming available to be leveraged by anyone in any kind of a startup or enterprise, it now depends on the culture of the enterprise to actually embrace that versus, miss the opportunity. So, Mayank, what did it really take to shift a customer's mindset to start thinking of preventive health versus just sickness funding?
It's a very deep question. I mean, the question seems to be a simple one, but actually, the whole what goes behind this is very very significant. And I remember when we started this business, a good friend of mine told me that Mike, you are going to destroy your career because this is never going to happen. Consumers are not going to ever engage with the category as a health partner. They don't look at it this way. And we have gone through our journey. So, two things happen in this process, Yamini. One is, can you create a selection bias, which
Mm.
means that will your offering appeal to consumers who are already uh, either healthy or have a greater affinity to health and wellness. And the second one, which is so this one, if your offering is right, if you're taking it, if you're creating enough experiences, etc., people will buy in more on this part. The second part, which is the more difficult part, is changing behavior. I mean, I can't make anyone healthy. I mean, we can only create enablers, access, motivation, communities, incentives, etc., for people to kind of get started on that journey. And that's again a process in itself, which takes a lot more time. And we were very clear that this is how it will happen. Good thing up for us, like COVID was, of course, not an event that you'll ever hope it happens again, but from this perspective, as you would have also, I'm sure, experienced,
Turned out to be a turning point.
health and wellness became a very, it kind of the whole focus on that and the whole attitude to that changed dramatically after, during and after COVID, including
Mm.
the advent of what I call digital health. Like a consumer before, I remember we had this whole thing of telehealth in our capability in 2017.
Mm.
Probably in a year 100 customers will use that services. And
Okay. Mm.
during COVID, that same capability came so handy for us because suddenly the consumers were saying, "Hey, I have no option, but if you can provide that capability to talk to a doctor, it may have changed difference." So it's a journey, and therefore we have been very clear that which customer segment will kind of automatically get attracted to our segment, go to them first, and then start changing behavior. So don't try and kind of boil the ocean on day one. So that has been very, we are very clear on that. Having said that, we have learned many things in this. I'll give you one example. We thought that the younger customers will find this more attractive. Actually, we found that consumers in the age group of 40 plus actually have found the whole
That's
model
very interesting.
more appealing, where they've, because the young consumers are very finicky about what health is to them in January is very different in February, in very different
Mm.
in March, right? They want to try different things, or maybe not monthly but maybe quarterly. It could be food for 3 months, it could be gym for another 3 months, it could be
It could be very fad led.
fad led, right? And in the definition of good health is looking good.
Mm.
Whereas people in 40s and above, for them, health becomes a serious issue because they're either seeing their parents in that stage of life where health is, they're seeing challenges, or they themselves have started seeing some niggling issues, with their health, the belly fat becoming bigger, or the, a problem of, coming up in when you go for a health checkup, etc. So they
Yeah.
responded to our proposition much more meaningful. So that was a surprising thing for us. So now we are having to do very different stuff for the younger consumers, which we are in the process of putting in place.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's shocking how much your description of 30s and 40s was fitting exactly what I felt about health right during this until you talked about belly fat, and then I lost you, Mayank, completely. But Mayank, so did this mean that your your teams ended up like customers ended up self-selecting, and you were uniquely positioned to serve a specific segment of the market, which became your differentiator and distinctive advantage? Did it shift how you started looking at risk or how you started creating products?
Yeah, so our products, of course, were a lot like, we created the only product in the world where you could get your entire premium back if you demonstrated really good health behavior. Yeah, so that itself was appealing, very appealing to certain segment of customers. And so two things happened. Distributors self-selected us. Banks self-selected us who said to sell to their customers. And through them, many customers also self-selected us when they came to know about our offerings, right? That did happen. But many customers actually started their journey through the process of this experience. If I can take and just to give you the impact, one story on this. So I remember meeting a lady in city by the name of Indore, and she had earned the entire premium back, and she said, and she was thin. She said, I always used to be thin, but I was not healthy. But the product actually kind of somehow encouraged me to start walking, because one of our requirement is that you walk 10,000
Yeah.
steps every day. And she said, I started walking, so I started feeling healthy. But then I also started
Interesting.
feeling happier because I could kind of I had more energy. But she ended by saying that actually my relationship with my husband also improved, because in the evening after dinner, both of us will walk together. He never had time for me. Now both of us walk together to complete our 10,000 steps a day. And we spend that half an hour which he never gave me. And so that's my time with my husband. So my level of happiness is very different. Now, this is the kind of impact that you can end up creating if you have the right offering for your consumers. And
That's really
we
fantastic.
created
Must be
like,
so gratifying to the team to see that
yeah,
from, yeah.
absolutely. And there are thousands of such stories where people say I've lost. So we did a program called Kya Piche Choda Hai, which said when you started walking 10,000 steps a day and of course took care of your health, what did you leave behind? And someone said I left behind diabetes. Someone said I left behind stress. Someone said I left behind my inability to look at the mannequin and said, hey, I love this dress, but I realized it wouldn't fit me. But now you see I'm wearing that and I'm feeling so happy, right? So I think those are the impacts that you create, and which is what I said, that if you want to build a long-term relationship with your consumers, whichever business you are in, if you don't remain meaningful to them, why will they stick with you, especially when they are now spoiled for choices?
Absolutely. And yeah, and I mean, even until so recently, you even now hear of that moment of truth being when you actually file a claim. But these are hundreds of moments of truth throughout the journey, which otherwise, I mean, touch wood, many folks in their 30s would not even need to file a claim,
Yeah.
a meaningful size claim, right? Even if they have a health insurance covered by themselves or their employer. But these are everyday moments of truth.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing takes away our responsibility to make sure that the moment of truth and claim is also kind of made
Absolutely, yeah.
experienced by the customer as something what they kind of came into the relationship with us for. But as you rightly said, we are creating so many more moments of truth for the customers than what is potentially something that the customers will never like to experience.
Exactly. So it must be really good. You were giving this example of when COVID hit, how what you had fundamentally believed in and set up as a team suddenly started becoming valuable to customers who were becoming more health conscious, right? It must have been really amazing to be just in time for technology. Sometimes ideas are way behind, way ahead of their time, and even then it doesn't take off. But it seems like the 3, 4 years before COVID is when much of this would have matured, stabilized, and suddenly you were in the right place at the right time with something that could help your consumers, right? Do you feel similarly today, given how much you spoke about data being central to how you even built up early on, right, in terms of addressing consumers? Do you feel that you have an edge in how you're positioned as AI takes off and becomes very real to us in terms of use cases?
No, absolutely. So, like I'll give you two specific kind of examples of this, right? Why we feel we are very, very well positioned. So we say that we give two promises: the promise of good health and the promise of insurance. Let me talk a promise of good health. Now, we because we encourage our consumers to kind of, so our journey starts with know your health, improve your health, get rewarded. stay protected. So on the Know Your Health, we encourage consumers to kind of get to start the journey of knowing what their health condition is. In India, we believe in karma. We don't like to, we don't believe anything wrong will happen to us. And many times we also feel that what if we go for a health test or health checkup, something emerges, and what will happen to us? As if, like an ostrich putting its head in the sand and thinking nothing is happening outside, right? That's not the way to look at life, because if you have a problem, you better know it and then solve it. So we gather a lot of health data because of fact that we fund consumers knowing their health journey. It can start in a small way. You don't need to spend one day for health checkup. Even if you know what your blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol level is, it's a great start. So, and fortunately, after because of digital and now face scan technology can give you a very good proxy for health. Now there are multiple providers who can just scan your face and give you a very good sense of what your blood pressure is, resting heart rate, etc., etc. So you get a lot of health data through that. So if you go on our app, you can do that face scan and get your, I would say version 1 of your health data. So as we gather more health data, we convert that into health risk scoring, and then health risk scoring, risk stratification, and for the high risk cohort of customers, intervene to give them very specific recommendation on what you should do. And as AI comes in, now we're in the process of kind of using both AI and then machine learning, and we are building other capabilities to kind of not only gather more data, but then convert them into very, very personal recommendation and learn from every time the consumer uses or doesn't use that nudge or kind of recommendation, what is working for that customer, and then how do you make it better and better and better and more precise. So more and more consumers are therefore now starting to respond to our triggers and our nudges to consumers, because as you know, it's behavior science, not just logical kind of triggers which work. So we are leveraging all of that so the level of the quantum of our customers, the proportion of our customers who are engaging with us has increased a lot since we started using this over the last 12-18 months at a larger scale. And we're only using newer use cases in this. So that's one part. Similarly, in claims, we digitize every piece of health data for our customers, anything, including claims data, because we believe that earlier when claims, when I remember when we started, I was shocked to see that hospital will send the bills through faxes. Can you believe it? Fax 2000,
Still happens, shockingly.
16, 17, in some cases, they probably scan and send by email. I haven't fortunately heard of fax recently, but maybe it's still happening. But fax was highly prevalent in 2016, 17 also. I mean, it will be so difficult to believe for people, right? And so therefore you will then take that data, eyeball it, and then kind of manual adjudication. Of course, there'll be errors, etc. Now, using technology, you can convert all of that data into, digital formats. And what we also do is convert that into standard codes of how health data is coded, and then use AI technology to adjudicate claims and take away the human intervention, and kind of, at least for simple cases. And so therefore your level of accuracy, etc., and also the speed at which you can adjudicate a claim changes dramatically. And we work with a partner in that area, and that only will become better. Similarly, when you have to detect fraud, waste and abuse in a claim using AI and machine learning, and you can continue to make your model more and more refined. And as you get more and more data, and because they're gathering a lot more data, all of them have some connection, we have realized. So that only increases your ability to kind of better manage claims. So, and if your customer is finally experiencing both these benefits, right, then their propensity to stay on with you will increase. I think that's the advantage of today's technology, and now with GenAI coming in, we are creating a lot of use cases for that. In the way, the access to data that we have will help us make even better kind of outcomes for consumers.
Mayank, this would have added to significantly high portion of renewals for you, right, as a business outcome. Do you see that happening, and what is the North Star you think is possible in that?
Yeah, so renewal of course increases, because the customer is happier with you. Are we completely happy with the current level of retentions? Not necessarily, because there's still a certain proportion of customers who may not even either get claim or the health benefit. So what we're trying to do therefore is to see what is a health benefit that will appeal to each customer at a personal level. So we're now getting into even creating products where benefits can be personalized for what is the definition of health apart from the insurance benefit to every customer. So as we start doing that, more and more customers start using that, and the persistence will increase. So consumers who are engaging with us experience from the cohort at an average level about 30-40% lower claims and 20-25% higher persistency. So our job is to engage with a larger and a larger part of the consumer pool.
And it sounds like with everything that's been set up and what is possible technology-wise today, you can actually potentially get to n equal to 1 kind of hyper-personalization, right?
That's
Both in terms of knowing your customer, writing the product, writing the risk uniquely, knowing also their efforts towards managing some of their risks, and even in terms of how you service them. So across all of these, you can really hyper-personalize.
absolutely spot on, Yamini. So what we are now in the process of implementing is n is equal to 1. And so the way my mandate to the team is very simple. I said from the time the consumer gets onboarded, and there are some elements which are at the prospecting, so I leave that for the time being. Customer gets onboarded, any communication from our side, any engagement from our side should be very clear that at this point of time, what should you communicate with the or engage with the customer for, through what medium, in what language, at what time, etc., etc. So make it absolutely so, you can't have a situation where, firstly, two parts of the organization are sending or engaging or sending stuff the same way. It can't. So there's one platform through which every communication, every engagement will be triggered, but at the same time it will take into account what's best suited for that customer. We've even changed the language in which, what are the ways, the like if I'm nudging someone to for doing some, let's say you've walked for the day, etc., what language will be used will be different for consumer A to consumer B. And so we are constantly kind of learning through this whole thing. That will be, to my mind, North Star in the context of where consumer feel, hey, this is exactly what I kind of, it's for me, and not even for a cohort or not even for a segment.
Yeah, and that's when the consumer's value on longevity with you also increases. With every year they spend, there is more and more history that is making it a better and better interaction for them, more value for them.
Absolutely. So of course, every additional month that they're with us, we gather more data, and every time they respond or not respond to my trigger is a data to me. And so everything is like only a data. And I think if we, and therefore having ability to deal with structured, unstructured, and all kind of data, what sometimes organization, I'm not sure, even are fully ready to deal with different kinds of data, and they even realize that what data is being left unresponded to, and that there's so much that we are leaving behind and not understanding that that's actually a powerful data point.
Absolutely. So, Mayank, what are the latest Gen AI experiments or projects underway, and what's been succeeding, and what have the failure stories also been? Because there's a lot to learn from those too.
Yeah, I think in Gen AI, I mean, of course, it's the in thing. Everyone's talking about it. So there's always this thing of everyone falling for it, and you start kind of getting too absorbed by it. But my view is this, that I think we should try it, because I don't think I wouldn't call it a failure, but I would call it a learning curve. That what works, how
Absolutely.
it works,
Yeah.
than actually a failure. There's nothing in the technology world. I don't really call it a failure, because you'll try multiple things. Some will work in the way you've designed it. Some will, you have to find a way to redesign it, right? So let me give you an example of 2-3 cases that were are already very much live. Like we do renewal calling to our customers, and we used to listen to calls and get feedback and all of that. But how many calls will you listen to, right? You can't build a barrage of people who'll do call listening, and you yes, you have some quality people who listen and give feedback, but that's not humanly possible because
It's not scalable.
anything
And
is
you'll
physical.
always miss. You'll always miss. Yeah.
Absolutely, human error and physical is not a scalable model. So now we are using a Gen AI model which listens to all. It has been trained to listen to all our calls. I mean, like we would have got them to listen to about 100,000 calls, and it gives a very precise summary at the top level of what exactly was the reason for the customer to have renewed or not renewed. And then you want to drill down of not renewed, it gives exactly the second level. You drill down, it gives a third level kind of sense of. So it gives you a really actionable thing. So
There's
suddenly,
thousands of works of there's thousands of hours of work that is now compressed so neatly
yeah,
into very actionable insights. Yeah.
absolutely. So now it gives you a sense of not only what is the area that you work on, kind of responding to consumers maybe generally, but very specifically for that agent who's doing that. And I'm not even sure in times to come whether that agent will be required with it's a great case of agentic AI kind of
Yeah.
completely taking over the whole process, itself. So this is a great example, at least from our perspective, as of now, and giving us some very, very sharp insights on where we need to intervene, for whom, through whom. Similarly, we are using another case which actually we're doing at a larger franchise level, which each of us are using, is uh, getting people to be trained on products. So we build a capability where we train the model to kind of let's say how do you pitch one of our flagship products, Active One, to a customer of a certain age and a certain profile. And so the salesperson can be trained on that, and through a video there's a agent behind the screen. You pitch the product to that person as a customer, and they will give you exact feedback on what was your pitch like, what was what worked, what didn't work, and where you need to kind of really work on improving your sales pitch to make the sales more likely to happen. Now people can do it, test it out themselves and get a score, and then work on where are the areas of development, if at all. Again, you can do it at scale now because you
Yeah.
test.
It's scalable. It's not location sensitive. It's not time sensitive. People can do it asynchronously whenever it is convenient.
Yeah, the big use cases typically happen in sales as well, because we have a 5,000 sales, plus say frontline sales force now. You can't, do everything physically. You can't train them physically. How do you recruit better? How do you train better? Just like I said, hyper personalization for customer. Why should there not be a hyper personalized intervention model for your front employees? That what really does this employee need to be successful? Because you have data on through our your sales tools, sales technology tools, etc., where what are they doing through the day and what help. Instead of using it as a policing tool, if you convert that into a enabling tool, that you
Yeah.
tell you say, hey, you need this help at this point of time, and therefore this is what we are doing for you. It creates so much more confidence in the
Yeah.
salesperson. So all of these
Yeah.
are, I think, they are game changing, and I think we have not even started the journey, as is what I would say. I mean, it's going to change the way many things happen in businesses over the next.
Absolutely. And the pace of change is getting faster and faster. So there is so much to unlock in efficiency, customer satisfaction, just productivity. Um, absolutely. It's actually exciting to be in this time and place when there is so much more to unfold. So, Mayank, now if you had a magic wand, what are the agentic cases you would look for? Where are business process that you've always felt could use a leap in, a huge shift in how they are run, and this could be the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I'll seek one magic wand. I'll then seek multiple magic wands. But why not at least seek more? The way I look at it is there are four key elements in my business. The way I look at it, whichever one in whichever order the agentic AI can solve my problem, I'm happy. One is how can I make my uh, sales force more productive, because when you're dealing with such large sales force, what is it that you can do to really help them and convert that opportunity to sales, because this is a product that every customer needs. So therefore, you cannot go wrong in suggesting this product to a customer. It's just that you probably have not done a, you know, great job in convincing the customer for whatever reason, right? So that's one job, because when a large part of your you know, investment sits in people and frontline, it's not only sales, but you also want to make your people successful. So that's one area, big area. The second area is, you know, we spoke about it, you know, at length, which is retention of customers, because a lot of cost, time, effort goes in acquiring customers, but you don't have a leaky bucket, right? So I think, and it's a great use case, immediate use case of, you know, agentic AI to my mind, retention.
The entire renewal journey itself. In fact, engagement much before renewal starts.
Complete. You start ahead of time, and then, you know, when the real time comes, you kind of do the right thing to make sure the consumer retain, and it is going to change the economics significantly.
And this is actually a very good use case, because even what we saw in data is just very simple shifts, like starting a renewal conversation in 45 to 60 days beforehand has significantly higher conversion. I think the renewal rates in those cohorts were like 90% plus versus the usual 65 to 70 that happen in the T minus 70 plus 7 kind of time frame. So, and with the amount of data that you have, you can make it very personalized also.
Absolutely. And in model like ours, actually, you don't even need to wait for 45, 60 days. Our thought is, through the entire 365 days, what intervention
Yeah.
should you do? Because there's a health conversation that we can do with the customers. Therefore, we have the
Yes.
opportunity, unlike other players. And I think the other last one is, say, I will say, the whole claims. There's something, the stressful moment of truth, where you don't want the customer to kind of, so when, if a customer needs help at the time of claims, can you know, the agentic AI kind of solve it? The only thing is that you know, to what extent you can bring in the emotion aspect, etc., in the way that human sometimes beings need to give that. I think that if we can, and I think now there are ways to solve that problem as well, because it's a stress. But I think that can be a big thing, because we, you know, the problem with claims is that you want to balance between experience and ending up paying for what is not payable. So how can you, you know, do that using the, you know, new emerging technology in the area of GenAI and agentic AI is what I would say. So these are 2 3 areas that I would say that, you know, we will love to, you know, and we are already, you know, doing some experimentation on this as we speak. I'm sure that we'll come up with you know, some model which will keep getting refined in times to come.
Fantastic. All three initiatives sound like really phenomenal stuff for your customers also,
Yes,
right? In terms of how they would experience their journey with you.
absolutely.
Mayank, this was very exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all the stories and spending this time with us. Thank you.
My pleasure, Yamini. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing this, because, you know, sometimes when you share and when you having this, you come up with more deeper insights only. So thank you for this
Yeah,
conversation.
I read somewhere that the beyond a certain point, when you've done something for like 10 years, 15 years, the only way to learn is actually to try and teach. And that's what some of these, like even when I go onto a podcast as a speaker, many times I realize only when you are trying to synthesize it and communicate it, you realize both the value of what's been done and also how to make it more sticky, even within the current state, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So thank you again for making the time to do this.